Are you struggling on Master difficulty in Oblivion? Here's a build that will completely break the game, no cheats, just pure mechanics, regardless of the difficulty. So here's a brief overview of the build. It works on every single stage of the game, early and late. You survive and actually thrive against higher level enemies. You make enemy spells heal you, literally. And it is very popular with hardcore Oblivion players for a good reason. So, starting off, first of all, we are going to go ahead and pick the birth sign. Birth sign that we are going to be picking here is going to be the Atronach or Atronach. I'm pretty sure it's Atronach, but anyways, let's keep it moving. Why? You get 50 spell absorption, right? 50% chance of absorbing spells. A huge magicka boost, like total magicka. The only downside about taking this is your natural magicka regen. There is none. But we can fix that. We have a work around that, so don't worry, don't panic. I know it sounds very scary, like, what do you mean I can't regen magicka? Don't worry, we got this. So you're gonna go ahead and pick that. Next, when you're doing your identity, also shout out to my Dark Elf. If you want to see any character builds on how you can make your guy look somewhat attractive, because I know in Oblivion that is a very, very hard feat to do, to make a somewhat of an attractive face, or at least a human looking face, and not someone that is just, you know, escaped Chernobyl. But I believe I've managed to do that, so check out the channel if you do want to see some cool builds, if that, you know, if that's kind of your thing. If that's not, that's so cool. Let's get back to the video. So, okay, and now we need to talk about the race. Which race are we going to go with? You know, let's be honest, there was no real option here. Everyone's going to pick a Breton in this game. Because why? Why are Bretons OP and why does everyone love Bretons? You get a 50% magic resistance from the start. As soon as you leave this tunnel, as soon as you make your character, you're getting a 50% magic resistance. This is broken by itself. Also, Bretons also have a solid start in willpower and intelligence. It's pretty good. So let's talk about the synergy that we have so far. We have a 50% magic resist and 50% absorb chance. You are tanky as hell against magic. You can even absorb your own summoner spells to refill magic up, right? So don't panic. Let's just go ahead and do that. Yep, we've got a nice receding hairline. Alright, now it's time for the class and the major skills. So we're going to go ahead and press Y to create our custom class, or whichever button is for you. I am on console. Yes, I'm one of those guys. PC players can suck it. Anyways. Right, so we're going to go ahead and pick magic. The reason why we're picking magic is because it's going to boost casting and increase the rate of which magic-based skills improve. So that's exactly why we're taking magic. Now, as for the favorite attributes, we are going to be taking intelligence and willpower. Great, fantastic. And for our major skills, we are going to be taking conjuration. Why? We are able to summon tanks to create distractions for us and to like occupy enemies, because I don't know if you know this, but if you ever played on Master difficulty, you know exactly how hard NPCs can hit, the enemy can hit in this game. Almost as hard as your parents' discipline. Honestly, it hits like a truck. You can also create spell absorption loops, so yeah, we definitely need conjuration. Destruction, also another thing that is self-explanatory. It does a bunch of damage. It's your main offensive magic spells. You know, that's where it's going to come from, especially with weakness stacking. Great, let's just chuck in restoration there too. Healing, you're going to need it. Utility and other buffs as well are going to be included in this, so let's just go ahead and chuck that in there too. Next up is going to be alchemy. Why? To make restore magicka potions, it is pretty vital for these for an Atronach build. You cannot regen magicka. You will be making magicka potions. You can regen magicka using the whole summoning trick, obviously, where you like, you know, absorb your own summoner spells and stuff. But overall, I shook my microphone there. I'm sorry if you guys heard the weird noise. Overall, we would need to make a lot of potions. So with this build, so yeah, that is okay. So yeah, take alchemy. All good. Let's keep it moving. Next up is gonna be mysticism. Why? Soul Trap, Detect Life, and Reflect Spells is all in this section here. And yeah, it's just gonna go so well with the build. Okay, and next up we're gonna take Alteration. Why are we taking Alteration? Shield, Feather, and Water Breathing are all pretty good. So we're gonna go ahead and take that too. Now we are not gonna be taking Illusion. For the last one, we will be taking Blade. Why are we taking Blade? It gives you a powerful melee option if your magicka runs low. And with this build, you might struggle at the super early stages, but I'm going to be honest with you, on Master difficulty, you're going to struggle with any build in the early stages. But this is, I promise you, if you stick to this build, it is gonna pay off so goddamn well for you. In case you're in a sticky situation, you can always pull out a dagger or a long, sorry, maybe not a dagger. You can always pull out like a long sword, a steel sword or whatever, and just, you know, kind of defend for yourself and at least do some form of damage. You know, don't just rely on magicka, because that's gonna be a very bad Yeah, to put all your eggs into one basket of just Magicka, it's not going to be good. Especially considering in this build you cannot reach a Magicka. Yeah, not a good idea. Let's take Blade. Now, you might be thinking, hold up. There's illusion here and we're not taking illusion. Well, I understand, okay? I get it. The whole paralyzing people and making yourself go invisible and stuff. Yeah, it's insanely OP. But it's not always needed, especially here with this build. The core strategy here is to power through, sustain, not control. This build forces survivability and raw damage using spell absorption to endlessly fuel your spells, your summons to tank damage, and alchemy for unlimited Magicka buffs. Destruction to nuke enemies, especially after you stack their weaknesses, they will be nuked, trust me. So yes, whilst illusion is strong, this build doesn't really rely on stealth or any sneaking aspects. It's built to take on enemies head on with efficient and repeatable strategies that you can do back to back in your fights. So instead, this build uses Conjuration and Restoration as defensive abilities instead of invisibility and, paralyze. And also remember, illusion can still be used. Even if it is not a major skill, you can still train illusion later on. Use trainers or spells, enchant gear with chameleon or invisibility. You don't need it as a major skill to make it OP. So here's the core strategy breakdown for this build. You want to summon a strong creature that's going to tank for you. Then cast weakness to magic 100% times 2 if possible. You can cast a high damage touch spell or use a poisoned weapon. Absorb the incoming spells to refill your Magicka. Heal yourself or pop a potion. There you go, you have an unkillable loop. Now here's some gear and some spell tips. Spell absorption gear stacks really well with Atronach. The sigil stones, look for fortify magic or resist magic. Custom spells, please use the Arcane University. For example, weakness to magic 100% for 3 seconds. Fire damage for 25 points. Like there's so much custom spells you can make to make yourself do more damage and to just make yourself take less damage and no damage. It's insane. The potions you want to go for is going to be Fortify Magicka, Restore Magicka, and I heard Poison of Damage Health. If it's stacked, is pretty good too. In the early game, you do want to use a Bound Dagger or Bound Gauntlets to train Conjuration early. It's one of the best ways to train it early, to be honest, and you will struggle if you don't use it. You can farm alchemy ingredients from the start of the game. Use the spell absorption to tank mages and recharge your Magicka faster. Please do not forget to loot the enemies and sell the gear for potions and ingredients. Or just potion ingredients in general. Now here's why this will work on Master difficulty. On Master, your damage is halved, but the enemy's damage is doubled, right? Summons do full damage. They do not get penalized. So this whole Master difficulty shit doesn't affect your summons. So we definitely need Conjuration. And these summons. Poisons do full damage too. So not only do your summons do full damage, so does your poisons. Weakness stacking allows you to two-shot even tough enemies. You're absorbing spells instead of taking it. That is why it is so broken. So the final build and the recap for this. You want to pick a Breton, go for the Atronach birth sign. You're super tanky with a huge Magicka pool. Conjuration and Destruction with Alchemy equals massive DPS. Absorption equals free healing and Magicka regen. Do try this build and let me know how it works for you. I've done a bunch of research online and this is basically what every single veteran of Oblivion uses. If there are any of you out there, educate me if I have failed to educate my viewers in any way, or if I missed out on key information or said anything wrong, please do let me know. But this is a build that I'm going to try out right now, and it is the most OP build that you can use on this game, in my opinion. And just to clarify some things, yes, the Breton and the Mundane Ring will give you 100% magic resistance, and this setup makes you completely immune to all magic. It is definitely amazing defensively, but you do not gain your Magicka back from enemy spells like you do with the Atronach and the spell absorption shit that I spoke about before. The spell absorption still has value. Even with the magic resistance, spell absorption works first. Meaning, a 50% chance to absorb a spell and turn it into free magic is still there. If it's not absorbed, the spell is then resisted or it will be ignored at 100%. This can be a strategic advantage, especially for Magicka sustain without relying on potion. Now, it's basically just an Atronach versus a regen trade-off. With the Atronach way, you can sacrifice natural regeneration like we did for massive bursts of casting potential. And with spell absorption, you kind of do have still that defensive ability there too. With the mage or the apprentice, you do get regen, but much less survivability. Now, this is why I would still recommend the Breton and the Atronach for I can't talk anymore, I need to end this video. For Master difficulty. On Master difficulty, your enemies will deal double damage. So resisting and absorbing can literally keep you alive for longer. Absorbing can be used offensively. If you summon your own creatures, then absorb their spells for Magicka. Free Magicka. It's the most like high risk, high reward kind of playstyle, and when done right, it is just the best there is. It is like literally the strongest build. So yes, you can go for 100% magic resist with the Breton and the Mundane Ring, but with the Atronach, you can turn your enemy's spells into fuel. For Master difficulty, where survival and Magicka matter most, spell absorption isn't mute, it is very overpowered. Alright, well that is it for this video. If you did enjoy this video, you know what to do. Show the love, show the support. Until next time, I will see you guys later. I love you all. Take care.